All right, this is the automation tutorial video number 4, and we're going to continue where we left off on video number 3 with doing some VCA automation moves. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to just set a basic level of the vocal into the subgroup master, and we've got some VU meters here that we're going to use to kind of monitor the level, and then we're going to program some moves on the VCAs. So let's just hit play.
I know I loved you.
So giving us a basic
when we
idea
said I do.
of the volume of the vocal here.
I know I loved you.
And I can use the, so I'm going to leave the subgroup master at 0. I'm not going to change that fader. I'm going to leave that static. But if I need to kind of trim the overall level of the vocals up or down, I can use this compressor makeup gain fader here.
I know I loved you when we said I do. I know I loved you.
Okay, so there. Now
I know I loved you.
Trim that up and down.
When we said I do. But that time is over now. That time is through.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to actually change the order of these plugins. I'm going to put the meter after the makeup gain here.
I know I loved you.
So I can actually
when we said I do.
So I can actually trim it to where it's.
But that time is over now.
Peaking at around -1.
That time is through. Love was our promise. Our promise to do.
Okay, so that gives us a little bit of a bass level. So I'm going to do is I'm going to drop out the octaves. And for now, I'm just going to drop out the chorus. We're going to deal with just the main lead vocal. So if I want to go ahead and...
I know I loved you when we said I do.
So we can, of course, compress it a little bit.
I know I loved you when we said I do.
Which is going to level it a bit right off the bat. So now what we're going to do is we're going to program in some moves. So for the sake of this particular demonstration, I'm going to just use the VCA fader. I'm going to program it in from the VCA fader. After we kind of get this going, then the next step is going to be to assign the VCA fader to our Avid Artist Mix fader, motorized fader device, and then we can remote control the VCA faders from the Artist Mix and have an actual tactile mixer experience. Okay, so let's go ahead, and what we need to do is we need to put this into touch. Okay, so as you can see, I'm not putting these, actually can be in off, and see it still works even if these are not reading any automation. So it doesn't really matter if these are in read or off, or either read or off. We don't want to have it in any of the right modes, but read or off, it doesn't really matter because this is being remote controlled from the VCA. So what we're going to do is we're just going to go ahead and program in some moves. So if I don't, so I'm in touch mode, not write mode. I'd like to use, write will automatically start to record some, if I was in write mode, I would automatically be recording some automation nodes and thus lock down my VCA fader right from the get-go. But if I'm in touch mode, it's not going to write any automation until I touch the fader. So another thing I'm going to do really quick is I'm just going to move this down so it's right on top of the track that we're going to be automating. In fact, I'm going to do that for the other two as well. So I'm going to put this one right on top of the octaves, and I'm going to put this one right on top of the chorus. The reason I do that is just so I can actually look at what I'm doing while I'm doing it. So I can actually see the automation right on top of the information that I'm going to be writing. So you can clearly see this one is a little bit lower. So if you listen,
I know I loved you.
So let's get a floating fader here. Okay, so got my floating fader here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this to write the VCA automation in. Now, just for the heck of it, I'm going to go ahead and show us the, now the blue line is actually the VCA automation, whatever the VCA automation is doing. The black line is the actual automation track for the individual channel. I just exposed that here on my sublanes just so I could actually watch to demonstrate that I'm not actually writing automation on the individual channel. So now if I hit,
I know I loved you
let's bring this up a little bit here,
when we said I do,
and then back down to normal again.
but that time is
You
over
can see this is a little
now.
lower, so I'm going to bring it up a little bit
That time is through.
and back down again. I'll like release it.
Love was our promise.
Now promise sounds a little low, so let's maybe ride that up.
Love was our promise.
That's better.
Love was our promise.
The of promise might be a little touch loud, so let's actually draw that down.
Love was our promise.
Nope, a little too much.
Love was our promise.
There we go. And I could, of course, always just simply touch the fader and bring it down a little bit that way as well.
Love was our love was our love was our promise. Love was our promise.
So that's a little bit better. So there's a few different ways to deal with it.
That time is through. Love was our promise.
So that's a good one right there.
Our promise to do.
So to do, you can see it's a little low.
That time is through. Our promise to do. Our promise to do.
There we go. So you get the idea. So that's basically going through and writing moves to the individual phrases on a vocal. You can do this on a guitar solo or any basic part that you want to write some automation moves into. So now if we look back at the mixer page, I'm going to go into read mode now, so I'm not going to update anything.
Our promise to do.
So now we're looking at the overall gain of it. Here's
our promise to do. The promise was broken.
See if we want to get a little more gain. I'm going to bring this up a little bit.
Our promise to do.
Trying to get a little bit around -1 there.
Our promise to do.
There we go.
The promise was broken.
Oh, that's a little hot.
Broken by you. Our promise to do.
All right, so let's say then that we've got a whole mix going on through this group, and so no longer can we bring this up and down, because once I get all these other vocals going, it's going to be going through the same group. If I bring this up and down, I'm going to be affecting all the other vocals. Right now, I can bring this up and down because I'm only dealing with these two vocals here. Let's bring in the octaves, and you'll see what I'm saying.
Our promise to do. The promise was broken. Broken by you. Our promise to do. The promise was broken. Broken by you.
But now that I've combined these vocals, you're getting a little bit more juice through the fader, so therefore the meters are going up a little bit, and so this is where you want to trim this down.
Our promise to
a
do.
little bit, give it a little more headroom.
The promise was broken. Broken by you.
So once you get a kind of a decent balance there, we can still go in and do our moves on the octaves next. So the octaves are doubled. Let's actually pan the octaves out left and right. So make it a little fuller sound. So now the lead vocal is going to go up the middle, and these guys are going to go left and right.
Our promise to do.
Which is a little more interesting. It's maybe a little wide. Let's try it. Let's try it like this. Not quite 100% because I'm hearing they're a little. The sync isn't super duper perfect, so we're going to go ahead and a little bit less.
Our promise to do. The promise was broken.
That's better right there. So, yeah, let's check that out.
Our promise to do. The promise was broken. Broken by you.
Now, let's say I've got this to a point where it's working, but I just want to trim the lead vocal a little bit, but only the lead vocal. Since I'm not automating these channels, I can just trim the channels.
Our promise to do. The promise was broken. Broken by you.
So now what I did was I trimmed the overall volume of just the lead vocal on the channel tracks, but you can see this
Our promise to do.
this is freely moving compared to the VCA moves.
The promise was broken.
So I was able to trim this, but not lose my moves. So if I'm looking here,
When we said I do, but that time is over now. That time is through.
so the relative position of the channel faders versus the VCA fader stays the same. Now they're offset where I've trimmed this one down. I can trim it up, and the same thing will happen. See, it's
When we said,
but I'm going to trim it down.
when we said I do, but that time is over now. That time is through.
Okay, so that gives you an idea of how that works. And then we'll bring in these other faders, and we'll see how that stacks up with the rest of them. We'll do that on the next video.